Greetings, my fellow free-loving sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Thursday, January 7th, 2016. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it a little short and sweet. Got like maybe 5 little topics, maybe 6 at the most. So before I start doing my little article, my intake, something I want to let you guys check out. It's going to be here down in Miami, which is called the Miami Protest Shuts Down Guantanamo Bay. And it's going to start this Saturday, which is January 9th, from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. According to this, supposed to be some thunderstorms. Supposed to get warm. Good grief. I'm trying to enjoy this weather the best I can, and hopefully everyone else is doing the same. It's going to be at the U.S. Southern Command, which is Southcom, 9301 Northwest 33rd Street, Miami, Florida, 33172. So technically it's right near Doral. And so it says here about 14 years of torture, 14 years of shame. Join us in Miami to protest and demand. Close, get low now. March starts at Northwest 36th Street and Northwest 87th Avenue in Doral. Ends at the U.S. Southern Command, 9301 Northwest 33rd Street, Doral. Of course, same zip code. Park can be found at J.C. Bermudez Park, which is 3000 Northwest 87th Avenue. So it's a good 5-6 block walk. I recommend everyone out there to be leery with infiltrators and narcs, maybe taking photos of your tag. Okay, so just to give you a heads up. Now we'll continue on here. 14 years ago, the United States brought the first detainees to Guantanamo Bay. The detention center has since then become a place to torture and shame. Released detainees claim that waterboarding, sexual humiliation, and forced drugging were used on prisoners. 6 detainees have committed suicide. Since January 11, 2001, 779 men have been sent to Guantanamo Bay without trial and have been jailed without having been charged with any crime. January 11th. Okay, so that's during the Clinton administration, Clinton years. All right. It says here, as of November 2015, over 107 prisoners have remained locked up, 47 of whom have been declared for release. Horrific torture prison created under George Bush remains up and running under President Obama, despite his indefinite promises to the American people that he would shut it down. WikiLeaks produced documents from the government stating that at least 150 Afghans and Pakistanis detained in Guantanamo were never a risk at all, were brought in by mistake or for no clear reason, then were held without due process for years. These innocent people, including a cameraman from Al Jazeera and a 70-year-old man with dementia, with no reason on record for being held. They have been separated from their families and subjected to cruel treatment for absolutely no reason. We say no more. Join us in Miami on this terrible anniversary as we march to the headquarters of the Southern Command Center, the center that operates Guantanamo Bay military base and detention center, and demands that 14 years of torture and shame come to an end. Co-sponsored Power, which is POWIR, Cold Pink from Miami, Black Lives Matter, Alliance Broward, National Lawyers Guild South Florida Chapter, Awa, South Florida Green Party, Broward, Students for a Democratic Society, Peace Home Campaigns Committee to Stop FBI Repression, Tampa, endorses World Can't Wait, War Criminals Watch, Students for Justice in Palestine, FAU, Houston Anti-War Committee, and SOA Watch. If you or your group would like to co-sponsor for helping to organize the event or simply endorse the action, please email powersouthflorida@gmail.com. I'm planning to attend it. Go down there, it will be a live feed, and I'm going to try to do multiple interviews and march with these folks, because even though some of these organizations I have my disagreements with, and I say that in good faith, but this is completely unacceptable. This is an example of the war on terror, which is a conflagration against ourselves. Many people, maybe Americans as well, are being detained in these facilities. And this is why if some people say that was a good idea, I go, during that time, it's dead wrong, because they've done it with the Japanese Americans, mostly Americans of Japanese descent, and a handful or a great amount were Germans and Italians as well by Executive Order 9066 that was signed by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President Roosevelt to be exact. FDR, people say he was one of the best presidents they ever had in the United States history. But if with that remark, I just like to take a dump, flush it real good. That's more interesting than his legacy. And furthermore, we could talk about too with the Native Americans, take them to the Indian reservations. In, oh yeah, they're considered camps as well. So something really to think about. The detention camps or all these good stuff. So definitely, if you can make it down there, that'd be great. Or I could meet you, shake your hand, have interview with you, even if you're for or against this ordeal. You come on down. I try to talk to as many people as possible, and don't be shy because it's gonna be a live feed. So make it great and tell them look the third sent you. And I am gonna head down there around that time and do my interviews right at around 2 o'clock. And boom, and take it with me. So I recommend bringing your video cameras, digital cameras, photo cameras. Go out there, share us all this information. And make these photos. And you know what? You can even send to my Facebook page. So I can really consolidate all on there. Okay, so if you can make it, great. If so, I thank you in advance. All right. Well, the first thing I'll be addressing is an exclusive interview by Joshua Cook is under Truth in Media, which is Ben Swan's pet peeve. There's a video for that too, so people should check it out. And here it's entitled Sheriff Mack on the Oregon Standoff and What the Media Isn't Reporting. It's by Joshua Cook once again. It says here Truth in Media. Joshua Cook spoke with Sheriff Richard Mack Wednesday about the Hammond family of Oregon, whose conflicts with the federal government led to the widely reported occupation of the Balhair National Wildlife Refuge headquarters in Burns, Oregon. While the standoff in which Ammon Bundy, son of Cliven Bundy, joined with other individuals to occupy the refuge headquarters to protest the resentencing of 73-year-old Dwight Hammond and his son, 46-year-old Stephen Hammond, has been covered by news outlets nationwide. Mack provided details about the conflict between the federal government and the Hammonds that the mainstream media hold on. It has largely avoided discussing. Also condemned the fact that the Hammonds were charged with arson in the first place. While Mack said he has not agreed with Ammon Bundy's actions, he told Cook that the media is wrong to brand and label Ammon Bundy as a nut extremist. Mack said that he worries the current standoff may escalate into another wake of Ruby Ridge because the federal government's desire to save face, adding that government orders were given to kill protesters during the standoff between the Bureau of Land Management and Cliven Bundy in Bunkerville, Nevada in 2014. Listen to Cook's interview with Sheriff Mack to learn more about what's happening in Oregon. So I'm going to see what I can do here and put this on. So, what's this? Ooh. Okay. Be in a moment here. Boop, boop. All right. Yeah, I just actually seen the interview with Sheriff Mack. Joshua Cook did a real good job on that. And the whole concept is the federal government have been encroaching on the Hammond's rights and many others as well. And it's interesting because they try to use that whole domestic terrorist ordeal, which arson and domestic terrorism. And the truth of the matter is, it has to be intent. And the federal government never really used that, according to Sheriff Mack. So it's sometimes and another thing too. How come the governor, the state governor, the governor of Oregon, and the sheriff of that particular county never take the initiative on using their 10th Amendment actions on have the Hammond's rights being encroached? They needed to step in. And I don't want to hear any more of these pathetic excuses that federal law supersedes state law. That's why you got to look at the Declaration of Independence and the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So, of course, many people look at the whole thing like, oh, they're terrorist nuts and this and that. And he does disagree with Ahmed Bundy's actions on taking over the BLM facility in Burns, Oregon. So he is very concerned on that, but he wants to make it everything peaceful as possible. He don't want to see any violent confrontations. And I have to agree because if you hear my past episode, I don't want to see anything like this happen. We don't need another Waco or Ruby Ridge to occur in the Burns, Oregon facility. So you can watch the interview yourself. I did add the footnote in there as well, just in case you can't get it on the Truth and Media website. And I did add the YouTube channel on there so you can see it for yourselves and you can make that own decision. So, some people may talk smack about Sheriff Mack. However, I do have to say, in good faith, he is right in a lot of many multiple areas. And if you have a chance, check in. See if he ever goes on tour. Hear him speak. He's very thorough, he's very good at what he does. Very articulate man, and honorable as well. And I had a pleasure to shake his hand, sign a few books. So definitely check him out. But you can make your own judgment. Hear the interview. I know there's multiple stuff is happening, a lot more complex than what it is. But the federal government and the mainstream media don't want you to know the official story, the other side of the coin. So don't believe the hype and hoopla. If you hear something like Occupy Democrats calling them terrorist extremists, and they're the ones that bend over the government, hey, government are the greatest known terrorists in world history. Because when you think about it, 170 million people would die under genocide by governments gone bad, and 270 million by democide by them as well in the 20th century alone. I say it again. Government in Latin means control of the mind. So the interview was good. I give Joshua Cook a thumbs up, and even Sheriff Mack. He is fair and honorable on this topic. So check this out. You make your own decisions. So I do take time to listen to it, and that's to give you my view. Okay. So next one here came from michaelgeist.ca, and it came out today as well, and it is entitled Trouble with the TPP, Day 4 Copyright Notice Takedown Rule. And as it says here, Trouble with the TPP series focused today on the TPP's efforts to regulate how internet providers and hosts address allegations of copyright infringement on their networks and sites. Prior posts include Day 1, U.S. blocking bound provisions. Day 2, locking in digital locks. Day 3, a copyright term extension. The goals of the U.S. and the Canadian government into the negotiations were clear from the outset. The U.S. wanted to export its DMCA notice and takedown system to the rest of the TPP, while Canada wanted to preserve its newly created notice and notice approach. More on the notice and notice system, which does a better job of striking a balance and preserving user privacy. Here's a link for that. In fact, Canada rushed through the notice and notice system without regulation, causing major problems of misleading notices in order to argue that it should not be required to adapt the approach. And the end result is a compromise that allows Canada to maintain notice and notice, but no other TPP country can adapt in order to comply with the ISP liability and notice rules. The Canadian rules can be found in Annex 18-E, which states that the standard TPP ISP rules does not apply to a country which meets of conditions of the Annex as from the date of agreement in principle of this agreement. Since that date is no longer past, October 4th, 2015, no other TPP country can implement the notice and notice system to meet its TPP obligations. It should be noted that Chile, which objected to the super treatment for Canada, obtained a similar exception for a system based on the U.S.-Chile Free Trade Agreement in Annex 18-F. That compromise highlights one of the major sources of trouble with the TPP. More than mere trade agreement, the TPP is a clear effort by the U.S. to export its regulatory frameworks to other countries, creating a competitive advantage for its companies. Canada and Chile were able to push back to retain their system, but no other TPP country, present or future, will be permitted to adopt those systems to meet with their treaty obligations. This compromise presumably comes at the behest of the major U.S. movie, music, and software industries, which have led to the lobby group to criticize both Canada and Chile over their systems. For those countries stuck with the TPP's implementation of U.S. law, Anna Marie Briddy points out that the TPP is less speech protective and more prone to over-enforcement and abuse. For example, the TPP does not contain a mandatory counter-notice system that will allow users to effectively challenge claims of infringement by requiring providers to repost their content. Moreover, the TPP has few requirements for the contents of takedown notice as compared to the DMCA, with no requirements for rights holders to state their good faith belief that the content in the notice infringes copyright. The absence of a good faith belief requirement is a major omission given that has play a role in the litigation in the U.S. where rights holders misuse the takedown system. Decision lock-in in the DMC notice and takedown system with the TPP comes just as the Copyright Office undertakes a public study of its costs and burdens on rights holders, service providers, and the general public. As with the prior discussion on digital locks, the risk that the TPP mandates a particular approach that limits domestic reforms is an enormous problem for all stakeholders, regardless of their perspective. Perhaps the most telling provision in the Internet Provider section comes at the very end. Article 18-82, subsection 9. The final sentence in this section states, the parties recognize the importance in implementing their obligations under this article of taking into account the impacts on right holders and Internet service providers. There is no reference to users or the general public, and the provision has impact on the public simply doesn't matter. This reflects an approach in which the broader public is not even afterthought. It's missing altogether. So this is more like telling other countries how to do these trades. So could we say technocracy? Just another example. And TPP, like I said before in the past, is the road to technocracy. And this is why I boldly oppose it, and a lot of the unions are against it as well in the United States. And it really boggles the mind when the people say, these congressional servants say, well, I support the unions, but they endorse the TPP. It shows how true hypocrisy lies within the district of criminals. This is just another example, my friends, what Michael Geist is doing. And definitely go to his website, subscribe to it, and you get a lot more information. I'd like to thank some of the people on Twitter share this input as well, because this is what we do, social media. We work things together. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to be doing came from naturalblaze.com. Came out today to be exact. This one is by Cassius Metho. It's entitled Colorado Recalls 100,000 Cannabis Edibles, Pesticide in Crisis in Cannabis Industry. Apparently, the cannabis industry actually has a pesticide problem. Headlines are being made and eyebrows raised as cannabis consumers fear that they have been ingesting more than they were told. Hopefully, it's not actually a prevalent issue. Medical Daily article supports the headline, Colorado recalls 100,000 marijuana edibles due to pesticide in the 15th and 16th weeks. On December 30th, the cannabis reported that the city of Denver has issued its largest pot-related recall to date. Nearly 100,000 packages of marijuana edibles made by the company Mountain High Suckers. The packages contain anything from longens to lollipops were voluntarily recalled by the company over concern that they might contain two pesticides disallowed by the state in marijuana production. Imidacloprid and myclophenol. There are a total of 5 batches involved in the recall, 2 intended strictly for recreational use. A couple of weeks ago, it was brought to our attention that our products may contain pesticides that have been deemed unusable on cannabis. The company explained on its Facebook page on December 30th, we decided to take a proactive step and submit samples of all of our products for pesticide testing so we can make sure that our products are safe. The insightful article from Cannabis lists the most 5 prevalent cannabis pesticides as, hopefully I pronounced these right, Meclibutnut, Meclibutnol, Meclibutnol, Meclibutnol. Hopefully I can pronounce that correct, which is a fungicide, active ingredient in Eagle 20 pesticide brand, considered slightly hazardous by the World Health Organization, a bad actor by the Pesticide Action Network. In its own label warns of nervous system problems and toxic fumes. Imidacloprid, insecticide, found in merit and mallet pesticide brands, considered mildly hazardous by the HWO, and the National Pesticide Information Center says it's moderately toxic if ingested and inhaled. Abamectin, and ivermectin chemical family. Insecticide found in Avid and Lucid pesticide brands. Pan is list ivermectin as a bad actor, and Avid labels says it's harmful if inhaled. Etoxol, insecticide found in Tetrasan 5 the GG brand, pesticide brand, which is primarily used on ornamental and landscape plants. Cypromethylene, insecticide found in Auberon, Judo, and Forbid brand pesticides. A longtime blazer of trees may be shocked. How long has this been happening? Is it really a severe problem? For an answer to the fundamental question, I have been smoking pesticide. Would you find out of yourself where the blood came out from? Perhaps you could research some of our non-expensive testing kits for pesticide. It wouldn't be too difficult to figure that out. Some people and news outlets are predictably claiming we need regulations to handle the situation. Why? Do you want to rely on the federal government's monopoly force, or would you better off simply testing your cannabis for pesticide and exercising disagreement? Disagreement with what you purchase. You can infer my idea of an idea solution. Check for yourself. You don't need a government to test your cannabis for chemicals. Please share this with all the men and women who love ganja. Okay, so another thing about pesticides and marijuana, they don't go hand in hand. So that's why, my friends, you have to really pay attention to what you buy in that state, Washington D.C., etc. And I remember in my past episodes, like they talk about marijuana is under the patent by the DEA. Okay, so this is why you have to really pay attention and always examine everything thoroughly. I'm a person that supports industrialized hemp and marijuana, etc. Medical purpose and all that. I do support it in good faith. It doesn't mean I'm going to go out there and smoke every day and be counterproductive or be intoxicated on the job. You don't do that. That's unacceptable. But the truth of the matter is, this is very dangerous, and how many people can be contaminated by this, and they'll say, hey, marijuana is bad for you. Something to think about. So definitely always purchase things responsibly. Find out where it's coming from, learn all these knowledge of the chemicals, and you can send this link to everyone you know. Okay, so all my footnotes will be on my Spreaker page. I know iHeartRadio has it, but it has been compromised. But if you want everything, go to my Spreaker page, and you definitely get the full details. Okay, and a couple of things here, which is some positive stuff, which I like to do. This one here says here, Kentucky bill will nullify all federal gun control by Scott Landerith. It says here is a 10th Amendment Center blog, at 10thamendmentcenter.com. It says here, a bill intent to validate and nullify all federal laws and regulations restricting ownership or possession of firearms has been pre-filed in the Bluegrass State. Kentucky State Representative Diane St. Onge has filed Bill HB 35, which directs the Kentucky General Assembly to take all appropriate action to safeguard Kentuckians' right to possess firearms in accordance with the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States and the Section 1 of the Kentucky Constitution. The Constitution of Kentucky. It reads in part, current and proposed executive actions by the President of the United States related to the acquisition, possession, and the use of firearm accessories violate the President's powers under the Constitution of the United States and the rights of the citizens under the Constitution, of the Constitution of the United States and amendments thereto. It also cites congressional proposal to attack the Second Amendment. Federal legislation proposed in the 114th Congress, including Senate Bill 407, threatens the rights of Kentuckians to keep and bear arms as guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States and amendments thereto. The bill seeks to nullify all federal gun control measures on the books, past, present, and future. It reads in part, the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky finds and declares that all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations regarding firearms, present or future, are a violation of this section and amendments to the Constitution of the United States specified in Section 1 of this act and are A. invalid in this Commonwealth, B. not recognized by the Commonwealth, C. considered by null and void by the Commonwealth, and D. of no effect in this Commonwealth. The bill creates a requirement for the state to take additional action to stop enforcement of federal gun laws, rules, executive orders, and regulation. It reads, it shall be the duty of the Kentucky General Assembly to adopt and enact any and all measures as may seem be necessary to prevent the enforcement of any federal act, law, order, rule, or regulation in violation of the sections of and amendments to the Constitution of the United States specified in Section 1 of this act. The next step would be to pass a Second Amendment Preservation Act barring state cooperation with enforcement of any federally firearm laws. Since a vast majority of our federal enforcement actions require the leadership, help, and or assistance of state or local governments, agents, and resources, widespread refusal to enforce or participate in enforcement will severely cripple federal efforts. Judge Andrew Napolitano confirmed by this saying, by such non-compliance over an entire state would make federal gun laws nearly impossible to enforce. Bingo! So you don't have to go to the Washington, D.C. and complain. This is how you do it on a state level. I do give the legislator, State Representative Diane St. Ong, hopefully I pronounced her name correctly, to give it a thumbs up to making this happen, because any law that's considered unconstitutional and those bogus executive orders, which well, even when President Obama did, I can use it as toilet paper by wiping my butt and send it back to his bureaucratic buddies. Plain and simple. And I love that little teary-eyed thing. Onions. Can we say onions under his podium? But the truth of the matter is, the Washington, can't do anything. That's why we got the 10th Amendment, my friend. And everything these knuckleheads do want to do, wherever make unilateral decisions, not going to Congress is null and void. When people ask me about this, I'm not going to complain, whine, or cry. I just laugh. It's like Comedy Central. But what the Commonwealth of Kentucky is doing is fantastic. Everyone in the Bluegrass State, take the initiative on supporting this cause. As you go to every state in the union that hasn't done the Second Amendment Preservation Act, I think the state of Florida needs to do one as well, which some people feared. Oh, well, we don't really have to do that. I think we should. It's called Send a Message. The 10th Amendment stands. Federal law does not supersede state law. If it's unconstitutional on a national level, it's null and void. And that's called sending a message. So good job to Diane St. Ong and the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So whatever you do, push for this. All right. Finally, this came from 3tags.org, excuse me. Came out today. This is like first time a little bit technology related. I gotta do this once in a while too, and I admit sometimes a little bit lackadaisical. But I'm trying to just keep it cutting through. Boom. Cut the chase here. All right, it says turn your smartphone into a solar panel. Let your device recharge itself. Instead of searching for an outlet to keep your phone alive, all you needed was some sunshine. An MIT startup has created a transplant coating that transforms surfaces into solar panels. The trick: typically, solar panels soak up photons from the sun's rays and convert them into electricity. The panels tend to be dark because the darker a material, the more visible light it absorbs. The idea of a transparent panel would only get dismissed because they don't, by definition, absorb any visible light, just it passes right through them. The tech. Ubiquitous Energy, a spinoff of MIT, has created coating made of organic molecules that absorb the sun's ultraviolet and infrared infrared rays. I always get this tongue tied here. Infrared rays. Since the light isn't in the visible range for humans, the coating appears clear. The material doubles as a semiconductor. When photons hit the surface, they excite electrons that flow as electrical current to power the device. Takeaway: you can put the coating on anything and turn into electrical source, says company founder Miles Bars. Smartwatches, phones, windows, or even cars. When the tech is mature, Barr anticipates it will convert solar energy into electricity with a 10% efficiency, to the industry average for solar panels. Who doesn't want an excuse to spend more time at the beach? Interesting. All hell to technology, man. I like this. I think it's pretty cool. Things are happening, and you know what? I support it because one day we don't need FPL or these be electrical companies. They're worried about it, but we shouldn't because we need to be more self-reliant instead of paying for privileges and make a living. Goes, oh, I have to pay the bills. No, I don't believe in going merely surviving. I want people to prosper. So this is a great start. Keep it going, and we're gonna give these guys a thumbs up on this. And what can I say? Technology is keen for enhancing people rather than being slaves. All right. Okay. And there's a little link on here as well, if I'm correct. Right. Let's just check this out. Yeah. So it's very similar. Very similar. So I like that a lot. And that is it, my friends. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this episode. Plus, feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, compliments, criticisms, love letters, hate letters, or you guys send me something that's interesting, which I haven't done yet. However, will you please send all your correspondences with decorum? Honorable discussions are keen, and it creates a healthy dialogue. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, World Truth, and Scene.life. If you haven't checked out Scene.life, do it. It's pretty cool stuff, man. A little privacy related, and they don't like do the peeping Tom like Facebook does. All right? Or you can hit me at Loki Luck 3. That's the number 3 at gmail.com. One more thing as a reminder, we're going to be planning to attend the protest down in Miami for the shutdown Guantanamo Bay, which will be again Saturday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It'll be from the Doral. It'll be on Doral, 36th Street and Northwest 87th Avenue, to the U.S. Southern Command Center at 9301 Northwest 33rd Street in Doral as well. So hopefully everyone will come out there. Okay. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Short episode today. Sorry about that. All right, my friends. You take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.